And the challenge that Joshua was facing is that he was looking at the physical, but God was looking at the spiritual. And I declare that sometimes we get caught up in the material problems, but God is saying that if you focus on the spiritual, I'm going to bless you like you've never been blessed before. And that means that I got to focus on the spiritual and the psychological. That means that I got to go into this situation with a frame of mind that I'm going to win it, and I'm going to win it by any means necessary. Sometimes we're defeated before we ever go into the war. Perhaps it's because we haven't prepared. As I was looking at my own services today, they were saying, Reverend, I know we have a presentation at 10:30 or maybe even 10:45, but we need to prepare on Friday. We need to prepare before we go into the situation. So they were here at 10 o'clock marching and practicing. Maybe the problem that we face when we go into a battle, we go in unprepared. We go in with no plan. We go in with no scripture. We go in and we wonder why we find ourselves lost in all alone. Joshua must have felt that way because God had given him some orders. He said, circumcise your men. Make sure they have that last supper. Make sure they do what I tell you to do. He did all of the material things, but he forgot to deal with one thing, and that was the spiritual and the psychological. Jason had a reason. He must have panicked when he looked over and he saw big bad Jericho. Now, have you ever panicked when you looked at something that was too big but you couldn't handle it? You're a Christian, you looked at the case and you knew that you couldn't handle it all by yourself, and you started to panic. And have you ever been assigned a piece of work and you knew that you had to do the work, but for some reason you walked into class unprepared for the test because you had not prepared? Now you panic. Joshua had every reason to panic. Jericho was a mighty Palestinian city. Jericho was bigger than 4 football fields. Yeah, it was bigger than 4 football fields, and it was actually 3 football fields wide. Jericho's walls protecting the city were 70 yards up in the air. Yeah, big please. Jericho had metal swords, and Joshua had stone swords. Jericho had catapults. They were just catapult rocks and fire into the air to come down as bombs. And all Joshua had was a slingshot. Jericho had experience on it, that they would walk and they were in time because they were used to protecting their big large city, and they knew that they could take them on with no problem. All Joshua had was some men who were drafted, not committed to the cause, because all of his experienced soldiers had died in the wilderness. Have you ever had a situation so big, so bad, so tremendous that you felt defeated before you ever went in? Maybe I'm talking about myself. Am I talking to myself in the room? Have you ever been in a place that you knew that you couldn't handle it, and for some reason something on the inside of you started to panic? Am I talking about myself? Has anybody ever had a big bad bully that kept you from going to school, kept you from going out? That's when God is looking for a yes sir kind of reality. When it's too big for you to handle, there's a God that's large that can handle anything that you're going through. There's a God that's still on the throne. There's a God that still says, I am the Lord thy God. Why? Because whatever you're going through, don't you panic. Turn to your neighbor and say, don't panic. All right, don't panic. If Moses had panicked, the children of Israel would still be tending flesh pots in Egypt. If Caleb had panicked, he would have had a complex over fighting giant grasshoppers. If David had panicked, he would never have defeated Goliath. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had panicked. They would